All right, we're live. Good morning, everybody. It's Colonel Wilson, 37 Training Wing. Welcome to Freeform Friday, episode 22. We have with us Chief Butcher, who we introduced to you last week. Thanks for being here again, Chief, this week.
Thank you, sir.
Happy to have you. And we also have a special guest with us today, TSgt Tayor. So we'll talk about TSgt Tayor here in just a sec. But we're out at Chapman Annex today, spending a good part of our day. Chief and I have the honor and the pleasure of being out here with our CATM instructors, part of the 37 Training Support Squadron. They train essentially and ensure access to training for the entire Joint Base San Antonio. Most people don't realize that our CATM is the CATM for Joint Base San Antonio, and either conducts directly or provides access and scheduling for all the training range activities. So pretty awesome to be out here with our CATM instructors. And then Chief, boy, I can't talk today. Sorry about that. There we go. And then after that, we're going to go out and we're going to spend some time with the 341st Training Squadron, who also has a large presence here with our working dogs and our handlers and trainers. So that'll be fun today. But this morning, I wanted to start out with you, Sergeant Taylor. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We're out at Chapman. We're in the building 950 out here, which is right across from our training range, which is our main CATM operations. Would you mind introducing yourself and where you're from?
Absolutely, sir. Appreciate you having me on here with you today. So I'm Untitled Chapter. I'm the flight chief here at CWF. Basically, I make sure all the guys get all their training done. Generally, we'll have 3 or 4 classes going at a time any given day. Today is a base populace day, so our BMT folks are done. So they finished up yesterday, but we'll have them down here training today and getting them qualified and everything for pre-deployment, mobility, and some in garrison farm as well.
So for those that aren't aware, and I know we get a lot of interest from parents of trainees that are out there. Your trainee comes out here in week 6 of training, week of training number 6, which is the week before they go through their final end of course and their graduation. And they come out here and they get an experience of what it's like to be in an employed environment, to include and get some readiness activities to include firing and firing proficiency of their primary weapon system. Can you just take us through that process a little bit, Sergeant Taylor, and what that looks like for a brand new trainee who now has had access to their weapon system throughout their training and kind of gotten comfortable with it, but they've not yet been able to fire it and not been able to necessarily break it down and clean it to the extent that they would after they fired it.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So they'll show up here between 6 and 6:30, just depending on their schedule in the morning. From there, we take them to the classroom for about 3 hours. Give them a good breakdown of the weapon, how to fire, how to clean it, put it together, do preventive maintenance, stuff like that. Go through all our positions that we're going to take them through on the range for that day. After that, once we get out to the range, we break it down really simple for them. We get them zeroed on the weapon system, which gives them opportunity to get familiar with the weapon and actually how it recoils, and get ready for immediate action procedures, which is where we're going to do our live and dummy round firing procedures. They'll practice and qualify in that position, then they'll move into the 4 different positions that we'll have them shoot for the day. First for practice and then for qualification. And if they make it through that, their last 6 rounds, they can do a nice little rapid fire, where they're going to aim at their target and kind of get at her.
Yeah. So Chief, you and I, we talked about readiness, and why is this such a big deal? Like, why is this such a big deal that every trainee that then graduates, becomes an airman, goes to tech training, goes off to their first operational duty assignment, that they have the access to this? Like, this hasn't always been the case. Like, we haven't always been able to train our trainees to this level. Why is it such a big deal that we do this? Anybody, any thoughts?
Absolutely. You can't fly, fight, and win if you don't know how.
Right?
Yeah, and I really think this is, when I think about the CATM and what you guys do out here in the 37th Church, this is that fight piece all the way for me, right? And readiness, sir, like you said, you don't know, it's a known versus unknown, right? You know we're in the military and that's what we do, and we need to be ready to do it. Unknown is you just don't know when it's going to happen, right? And who it's going to be.
That's right. It's about being ready, right? The cool thing is, what would you say our trainees, when they leave here, what percentage of them leaves your course and fires proficient, not proficient, proficient's the wrong term, but qualifies on their primary weapon system, the M4? What percentage would you say, Sergeant Taylor? Almost 100%. Like, it is, if it's not 100%, it's by a couple. It is, we like to say around here, 99.99999%, because there's always an exception to the case, but by and large, our airmen are going to their first duty station qualified. and they're ready. Like they're so you know they'll fire depending on their army category. They'll fire as they get out to their you know periodically as they get out to their first duty assignment. But they're getting there. They're ready to go already, and that's man, what a thing to say about our basic military training and our instructors that you guys have the ability to do that. That's really cool.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, it's exciting. So when we come out to basic expeditionary airman skills training, we call it BEAST here on the 6 week of training. Not only are they doing their firing proficiency, but they're also going through and they're getting basic combat lifesaver skills. They're going and living in an expeditionary environment for a number of days. They're going through and getting chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear training. So they're really leaving here after 1 week with just a lot of skills that your average person on the streets just has no concept of. And then they go off to their first duty assignment and they're ready. They're ready to some degree. There's always proficiency training that has to happen as they go through their career, but just to leave here and go into our Air Force that way is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all about combat skills and readiness. So cool. Well, Sergeant Taylor, you got any family?
I do, sir.
Yeah, you want to tell us about them?
Sure. I've got a beautiful wife. She's new to America. She's got here a couple years ago. She's from South America and Ecuador. We have a beautiful daughter together. And then I have 3 other children, and she has a son.
Oh man!
So we got
you guys are
5.
busy.
We got 5 running around at any given time. Unfortunately, her son's still in Germany, which has been kind of challenging for her with the COVID situation because we're not able to travel out there, and he's not able to travel here. So we're trying to push through those hard times and get her out there in the next couple of months.
I can't imagine 5.
Oh yes, sir.
And all over the world. And all over
One's
the world
halfway
too.
through college, and
Yeah.
one is still in diapers. So there's a nice spread on that.
Oh man, I'm not sure. Well, you must not like yourself very much. No,
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I love it.
I'm just kidding because I got 3 that are separated. We've talked about it on here before by 5 years. I got one that's halfway through college too. One is not in diapers. But I know I couldn't keep up with one in diapers right now. There's just no way.
It's
so.
challenging. My wife does a lot.
We got 3. You have 5, Chief.
I got 4.
So we got 3, 4, 5 right here. So anyway, all dads. I love being a dad. You guys obviously do too. So that's great. Hey, well, I'd love to have you. Chief and I are going to discuss a couple of things. Love to have you stick with us. And if you have any thoughts, we'll go on. One thing that's going on came out in our public affair highlights today is 79th birthday of Air Education Training Command, Chief. AETC, been doing it for 79 years.
79 years. That's older than the Air Force, sir.
That's right, it is. So it all started with some other service not to be named then. Sorry, soldiers out there, just kidding. But yeah, you know, it's that legacy of training, and it's what we do each and every day that keeps and continues that legacy on stronger and stronger. So just proud to be a part of the the training enterprise here in Air Education Training Command. Happy birthday, AETC, from us here at the 37 Training Wing. So why are we at Chapman? Chapman's a big training complex. We talked about that. We do a lot of our field and hands-on activities out here. Like I said, our military working dogs, they do a lot of their procedural things out here. We're going to go out and we're going to watch them train for a while. We do our beast, and then we've got our CATM out here. So Chapman's a big deal. The other thing that Chatham is it's the host of the Special Warfare Training Wing as well. And Chief, we're going to get a chance to go out with Colonel Dula and his team today and spend the day, spend part of the day touring the Special Warfare and learning more about them. They've had the opportunity to come and learn about the 37 Training Wing. And as we know, we have Special Warfare airmen that come through. Their cohorts come through here all the time. So we get to know them by virtue of that. But we don't necessarily always get the same opportunity. So we're going to do that. And I think Chief and I are going to put on our trunks today and go swimming in the tank. That should be pretty fun. You excited about that, Chief?
I am, sir. You know, I'm really excited. This is one thing I'm really enjoying about, you know, serving in this command chief position for a few months is, man, just getting to see the partnerships from a different lens and, you know, a different echelon. And I mean, you think about Joint Base San Antonio, sir. So much going on in this region across all of our services, and we share a lot of the same real estate, right? We just talked about our CATM, right? You know, we train soldiers, sailors, and airmen out here. Right, and the Special Warfare Training School and how we, you know, that partnership and that bridge we're building, and you know, we get a lot done, and it's awesome to be part of this and to see different moving parts. Right, there's so much going on throughout this wing that I'm a part of for the past 6 months that I'm like, man, I didn't know we were doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's huge, it's amazing. I'm very proud to serve the Warhawk Nation.
It's cool.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
JBSA is cool. just as much as many things are going on. We had a lot of recognition this week. So last week we talked about the unit effectiveness inspection. I think our CATM, you guys probably felt that a little bit. Some of the UEI had some inspectors probably come and ask you some questions. It was really a good experience. We're still waiting on the draft report. We mentioned it last week, but 25 superior performers. That's really exciting. We believe that everything was effective or better so far. We'll knock on wood. So very optimistic about that. Really great feedback. Thanks again to Colonel Corey Christopher and his team. And by the way, we're waiting on the report, Ogre. So once we get that, we'll share more with you. Also, we had good news that our IAAFA team this week, Inter-American Air Forces Academy, was awarded the Air Force IMSO Award, International Military Student Office of the Year, for the entire Air Force. Not Air Education Training Command, not 37th Training Wing, not 2nd Air Force, the entire Air Force. So a big shout out and a big congratulations to IAAFA and our IAAFA team. And then we pushed out our 4th quarter award winners, Chief. And I think we're going to go ahead, although it's been out in email, we're going to go ahead and push it out here in Freeform Friday. We got the list in front of us. I'll start out, Chief. If you'll read them after I do, that'd be great. 4th quarter award winners for the junior enlisted category. Congratulations to Airman First Class Anthony Rodriguez from IAAFA. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the non-commissioned officer of the quarter, Tech Sergeant Caleb Folsom from 343rd Training Squadron.
Congratulations, Senior Non-Commissioned Officer, Mess Sergeant Philip Lowry from the 737th Training Group, BMT. Congrats.
Congratulations to the Company Grade Officer of the quarter, First Lieutenant Allison Kirk from the Wing Staff Agency.
All right, congrats, Allison. I gave her a hard time. I see her every day, but she's an exceptional officer. Field Grade Officer, Major William Trainer from the 324th Training Squadron, DO over there. Congrats, Major Trainer.
Congratulations to Civilian Non-Supervisory Category 1, Consuelo Cummins from the 324th Training Squadron.
Congrats. Civilian Non-Supervisory Category 2, Ms. Kelly Williams from the 737 Training Support Squadron.
All right. Civilian Non-Supervisory Category 3, Mr. Chad Kaiser from the 345th Training Squadron.
Out at Fort Lee, all right. Civilian Supervisory Category 2, Mr. Arthur Hosley, 332nd Training Squadron.
All right, and then, yeah, my home unit.
That's right, that's
awesome.
right.
Way to go. And then congratulations, Civilian Supervisory Category 3, Mr. John C. from the Wing Staff Agency.
Is this a mistake? There's no way, John C. John. No, John's our Chief of Protocol and doing an awesome job. We keep him really busy, keep him running. So, in fact, he back to UEI, he helped put together all our innovation tours that we had with our Inspector General. So, congrats, John, on that. All right, we got a busy week coming up. A couple things. Every week around the Warhawk Nation's a busy week, but we have our Honorary Commanders Forum on Thursday. So, all our Honorary Commanders will be calling in via Zoom, and all our commanders will be online with them. We're going to share some lessons learned. We're going to share some great stories about our partnership with our local community and our local honorary commanders, so that's a great opportunity to share those. And then we got Senior Master Sergeant Jack being promoted next Friday to Chief Master Sergeant. Yes, sir. That's another Chief Master Sergeant here in our wing. That's exciting. Love Senior Jack, First Sergeant, emotional man, wonderful personal speaker. I look forward to hearing his comments because every time I hear him talk, I just get moved and inspired, so that'll be exciting to go to, too.
It will. And sort of interesting thing, right? So, Chief Master Sergeants in our Air Force, top 1%, right? The Congress only allows us 1% of the entire enlisted force to serve in the grade of Chief Master Sergeant. So, tremendous accomplishment. And to Chief Jack, if you're watching, man, yeah, this is your last promotion ceremony in uniform. Last one. This is it, man.
Ain't no way around it.
So I'm really looking forward to hearing all the passion and power he's going to bring in his comments and celebrating this achievement of our team. Sir, before we go on, could we give all of our award winners and our IAAFA team and Chief Jack and our superior performers, could we give them a round of applause?
Yeah, we'll do. We got a room here.
I like it.
Yeah, rock and roll. Just kidding. It's Freeform. Here we are. All right. Cool. Yeah, thanks, Chief. All right. Hey, congratulations again to everybody. Great job. We'll have the annuals. I think we're working on the annuals right now, so hopefully have the announcement on those here in the near future. Hot topics, vaccines. Vaccines a big topic around our Air Force. Around the world, topics a big vaccine. So big shout out to the 59th Medical Wing this week, who has just been issuing vaccination after vaccination after vaccination for those that volunteered for the vaccine. We have been no different. Our wing has started getting vaccinated for those that are volunteers. Our first priority was identified as our military training instructors based upon the tiering and the categories that were identified based on the national schema that's being used and the DoD schema. So our military training instructors, but there's some, as they continue to get more vaccines, we'll continue to go down that list of prioritize people, but there's some massive amounts of numbers of vaccines being given out. Also wanted to just say thanks to General DeGoes. He's just such a wonderful commander over in 59 Medical Wing. He did a couple different things. He had a town hall last week to talk about the vaccine, to talk about the safety and the effectiveness of the vaccine. We just continue, I will say, we encourage people to look close at the vaccine. We hope that they decide to take it. If they do, that's great. If they don't, that's their personal choice. Absolutely 100% voluntary. But the information's out there, so hopefully there isn't anybody that's left asking any questions, because there's a million FAQs, answered FAQs that are out there. We're getting ready to push out through our public affairs a vaccine toolkit Q&A with all the frequency asked questions. Big thanks to our public affairs, Miss Krista D'Andrea, who's got like 1,000 Q&As that are already pre-built. So as people have questions, if they're already there, answered. And then General DeGoes also pushed out a podcast, The Air Force Starts Here, which is a recurring podcast that Air Education and Training Command. General DeGoes was featured on it, answering Q&As. So you can go and get that off any major platform where you download podcasts. So we won't name any proprietary names here, but go check it out. General DeGoes has definitely got it out there, and the information's out there, and we'll continue to push the information out there. But the next tiering of potential folks is key and essential personnel. Commanders have provided us that feedback, and so hopefully as the vaccine supply and demand is able to balance, we'll continue to get people vaccinated. And we'll see. I think we answered a couple questions on vaccine last time. All right, and I think we have Miss Brittany World here behind the camera, who has some questions for us today from past commanders' calls or from Warhawks Solutions. And if anybody out there on the live stream has any questions, please feel free to push them here as well.
Yes, sir. So the first question is regarding MTIs, and they want to know, can we get more of them, and what are we doing?
Yes, Chief, we talked about this morning. You want to try and tackle this one?
Yes, sir. Happy to. So the good news is that help is already here, right? I think it's definitely not lost with us. So all the churn that all of our units have experienced throughout Warhawk Nation, as we had to stand up our QPI facility this spring, and it's still active. So every unit is pulling their weight in that, but the specific question to MTI manning, what we experienced here was a lot of MTIs were repurposed, right? We had to send some to stand up the RQPI facility to care for our wingmen, and then also we had to stand up Keesler, and we had to send a substantial amount of MTIs over there to Keesler. So what we're experiencing right now is we've closed the Keesler detachment, so we've got MTIs coming back from that. We've got some additional help coming in RQPI slowly, shortly, but we're basically, and let's not forget the MTI school, who continues to crush it, as the big groups of MTI folks that were vectored developmental special duty to become a military training instructor, and they've really been doing solid work on getting out our MTIs, right, getting them into the field, into our units. So
Chief, exactly. So Chief Blaze and I got asked that question a number of times. We had MTI calls. It was probably about a month and a half ago, and so the reality is that number of authorized versus number of assigned. We actually have an overage of MTIs versus the numbers assigned. The reason, like you said, that we have that overage is because the screening process for DSD and the lag in MTIS, it requires from the time that a member is identified to come and be an MTI to, and the back end where MTIs are going to their next duty assignments, there's a lag there, so we get an overage for that. And so as Chief said, we have repurposed a lot of our MTIs, unfortunately. The other thing, which now is coming back to it, so we've talked about our quarantine procedures have changed significantly, which allows the MTIs to stay in their flights, so that's good news. The other thing is, we'll talk about, it's a significant number of MTIs that are out at any one point in time in some form of quarantine, like that have been quarantine for one part or another. I don't want to get into specific numbers on here, but it's significant. So as we go through, and those that are volunteering for the vaccine, volunteer. That should help keep those out of training, because every member that gets lost out of quarantine, and it is not small, is significant. So our goal is always to be at a 4-to-2 ratio, 4 MTIs to 2 flights. And we know that that hasn't been the case over the COVID to some extent. I would say there's some pockets of squadrons out there that are at a 3-2, where they have one on each flight and then a rover back and forth. But 4-2 is our goal, and I think 4-2 is fully achievable as long as we keep making these strides in terms of our operations, vaccinations, and safety through this COVID process. So thanks for hanging in there, MTIs. Great work. We love you. You know we do, and we can't do it without you.
Yes, sir. Next question is, word is that the AFI is changing regarding to hairstyles. Can you elaborate?
Oh, man.
Very important for you
know
too.
those standards, I think. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Chief,
I'm not
Sergeant
going to be
Taylor,
able. We're not going to be able to provide examples today.
speak for yourself, but
Well, there you go, sir. So that's one of the biggest changes is that females, basically you can have bangs now, right? So, as I recall, the bangs can go down. They can kind of touch the eye, but they can't cover the eye. So that was one of the changes that'll be effective in February. And a couple of the other changes, sir. Females can wear 1 or 2 braids, and then you could also have ponytails. But the braids and the ponytails cannot extend below basically the back seam of the armpit of your uniform. So, yeah.
we were going to try and get Captain Rockwell to demonstrate this for us this morning, but couldn't quite pull it off. So nonetheless, thanks for going over the new standards, Chief. Appreciate it. Brittany, what else you got?
Yes, sir. Next question is, are there talks to revamp Beast, remove Beast? Thoughts?
Yeah, what's up with Beast? Yeah, Beast is there's absolutely no talks of removing it. When it comes to revamp would probably mean continue to push combat skills. We just sat here for about 10 minutes talking about combat skills. Combat skills are not going away. The combat skills of our airmen are going to stay. There are some instances where we had not been able to do some of the things we wanted to do at Beast, mostly on the CBRN side, chemical, biological, radiological, but there's also been some direct contact in terms of combat skills that we haven't been able to do. But by and large, everything is either continue to be enhanced at Beast or found a way around so that we maintain the readiness. So the answer is absolutely not. One thing we'll bring back is the confidence chamber for our CBRN. That's something that our 3E9 community has been working on trying to get, is that confidence, so they know that the equipment that we issue functions the way that it's designed to. And it's not that we question the equipment, it's that it's a mental thing for our airmen to see that, hey, the things that you're using, it really works, and it really does. So absolutely not. We continue to. Now, we give credit to our 319 Training Squadron, who's been managing our charge quarters for our RPQI, or our quarantine program. They've been kind of focused on that because it's such a heavy lift for our wing. But we're gonna double down on combat skills. We're gonna double down on Beast. We're gonna continue to do that. So as the vaccines continue to get issued, as people and safety measures start to go up and concern over COVID goes down, we continue to just push on combat skills. It's absolutely not being revamped in a good way or revamped in an increased way. So readiness is our focus. Combat skills is our focus amongst all the other things that we're trying to do at BMT, but that's a huge one for us. So.
Yes, sir. Next question is regarding manning and the manning needs of the Air Force. Are they looking at reshaping this?
Yeah. So, Chief, voluntary force management. We got some announcements this week. We got some direction this week. Do you want to talk about those?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The one thing to focus on right now is these are voluntary force management programs. Right now, the Air Force is experiencing extremely high, historically high retention rates across our enlisted and officer corps. And so these are voluntary force management programs to make it a little easier for those that are ready to transition out of uniform and into their next chapter. So a couple of the things that came down in these personnel memorandums is the expanded Palace Chase program, make it a little easier for that.
Palace Chase for going into reserves.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And they also limited active duty service commitment waivers, so that's making it a little easier for folks who, when you get promoted or you PCS, you typically have to give some return on investment time to the Air Force. So they're gonna kind of, you know, you can apply and get out a little sooner if you're up against an active duty service commitment. So those are a couple of things, and this historically high retention rate, we haven't seen numbers like this since 9/11.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for different reasons, right? So right now, there's just concern and anxiety over the economy, let's be honest. And so people want to make sure that they can continue to care for themselves and their families. And so our armed forces and our Air Force, as it always has been, provides a blanket of safety there. And so people who may have retired otherwise, or may have gone back into the civilian or gone into the reserves otherwise, are saying, hey, you know what? This Air Force thing is a good gig, which it is. No argument there. And so we want to continue to stay in. And so anyway, at this point, the Air Force is looking for those that are interested in volunteering. The PSDMs, the guidance memorandums on how those programs are going to work is out there. So, and there's plenty of coverage, been plenty of coverage in our public affairs and in the media this week. So this is no surprise, but as people have questions, engage with your chain of command. I think you've got experts right there in your squadrons. Your first sergeants are your experts on all things, right? Typically, and this is no different. And your first sergeant or your commander can't answer those questions. They'll get you to the military personnel flight. I think it's the 802nd Force Support Squadron here on Lackland, and they can answer your questions. But bottom line is, we'll get you to somebody that can answer your questions. The PSDMs, I was pretty impressed. I thought they were well written and were pretty clear. So, any questions on that? Please reach out to your chain of command, your first sergeant, and those questions can't be answered. They'll make sure they get answers for you.
And one thing I left out, sir, just to circle back, this is from the personnel memorandums. There are some targets, right? Some AFSCs on the enlisted officer side that they have some numbers affiliated to it. But if you're AFSC, if it isn't listed, you can still apply. And then it doesn't matter if you're rank, you can still apply. But you may or may not get approved.
That's right. That's right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. So just if you want to touch quickly on it, we're getting a couple of questions on the Facebook feed about BMT graduations and if there's a timeline for when families will be able to attend again in person.
Yeah, timelines are milestone driven. So we don't operate, unfortunately, off of time because the pandemic doesn't operate off of time. It operates off milestones and operates off of safety. And so as the safety numbers increase, as the pandemic numbers go down, as the number of positive COVID positivity rates go down, then that will give us some ability to continue to look at that. But right now, that's just not the case. So no, I can't say there's a timeline. It's a milestone-driven consideration. So but here's what I would say: we so much want to get families back here. We know how important that is. We've talked about this before. It's not new that family members want to see in person. They want to be here with their airmen as they graduate. Sergeant Taylor, do you have your folks in by chance, or do you have family here with you when you graduated?
I did, actually. Yeah.
Did you enjoy that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a feeling, right? So it's meaningful, and it goes. It doesn't matter how long somebody goes through their career, whether you're a brand new airman first class, a tech sergeant, or a chief. Like that, the graduation is meaningful, something you remember the rest of your life, and to have your folks, your family, your loved ones here with you to experience it is something that you just can't capture, with words. It's a feeling, and so we will get back to that just as soon as we can. But right now, the national COVID rates are just too high. The safety environment is not good enough. So just encourage everybody to continue to look at one, staying safe. Meeting CDC guidelines. Do take a look at the vaccinations that are out there, and make your own decision on that. But as the trend goes down and safety environment goes up, then we will definitely take a hard look at bringing people back as soon as possible.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the parents though in the question and concerns. My oldest son is serving in the Air Force right now, and he was actually the first class that graduated with a camera versus an audience. So I do want to give a shout out to our BMT protocol and public affairs team, and that they really do a great job of, doing the Facebook live feed that way you can at least see your airmen. And oh my goodness, they're walking tall and looking proud, wearing the cloth of our nation. So it really is the next best thing. And I can tell you, my wife and I experienced that. We were stationed in Japan when my son graduated. I was about to jump on a plane, and then COVID stopped all that, but we were able to watch our son walk through. And it, you know, it was ecstatic. It was still a great experience. So I do want to just remind parents out there that, you know, you can still see your airman or your guardian, you know, or your sports guardian.
We just thank them for their service, and thank you for your service and allowing them to come and become a part of our Air Force. You know, everybody's seen the polls, Gallup polls, whatever polls. The military, United States military, has always and will continue to be the highest level of confidence of any major institution in our country, and there's good reason for it. It's because we're getting the sons and daughters of our nation that are coming in here, willing to do more than most, and willing to serve their country. And so we're so proud to have them. We're so proud to see them graduate. So, any other questions?
No, sir.
So I know we've gone long. When we go too long, people get scared. So we don't want to go much longer. So anyway, thanks so much. Thanks to Sergeant Taylor. Thanks to Master Sergeant Stearns from our CATM for having us out here. Thanks for everything you do, Chief. Thanks for being a good wingman today and being out here with us. Looking forward to the rest of the day and going forward. So anyway, we are out. Warhawks trained to win.